It's been a crazy last few days, but we had an amazing event this past week. Met some people in this room for the first time, which is pretty exciting. I'm going to make somebody else co-host, so there's good people in the room. Bill, since you're in front of the computer and your screen's on, you have been nominated as co-host.
All right, appreciate it. I got you.
Since I can't be looking down and driving at the same time.
Yeah, definitely not.
You have been nominated. So we had a really good week. I'm in San Antonio right now with Anthony. Anthony's driving back to Corpus. His family's still Corpus. But yeah, it was a really good week. We had our 4th annual event. If you don't know, we had it this past weekend. Bill was there. Anne Marie was there. And as you know, before I switched on my video. But we had a really good time networking, exchanging some meals here in conversation. So I appreciate everybody that came out. I guess we can kind of, Kyle was there. Kyle was in the room too. We had a really good time. If anybody wants to share what their best experience was from the event or something they learned, I think I'd be intrigued to hear that while I'm driving. Because I have something that I will share with the group as well that I made note of that I learned this past week, and I hope you all did too. Hey, there's people in the waiting room, Bill.
Yeah, I'm adding them as I see it.
So I guess I'll go first, and then if anyone wants to follow me. One thing I learned this week, Logan's one of our speakers, and he does a lot of triple title situations. Something I learned this week, which I thought was pretty cool. If you buy a property that has liens on it, you can actually, if it's an easier lien to remove, you can buy it subject to the lien, which means you're gonna take on that lien. But if you use like a credit card or some type of IRS lien or child support, if you're the new owner, you can usually have a better ability to negotiate that debt down, right? So what he does is, if there's like a $25,000 lien and you're not the actual bearer of the lien and you bought that house subject to the lien, you can call whoever the lien holder is and negotiate that down pretty significantly. So like a $25,000 lien, you might be able to negotiate down to $5,000. But since you're not the owner and you bought it subject to the lien, you can get that thing negotiated on your side. So you can buy it from the seller. Hey, I'm going to take care of this $25,000 lien, and I'm just going to take care. I'll just buy it. I know there's no equity or little equity. I'm going to buy it at the price, but I'm going to take care of the lien. And then you buy it subject to. You can actually you can actually get title insurance. You can actually get title insurance minus the lien. You add the lien to a Schedule B, and you put the lien in a different position where it's unsecured and uninsured through title, and everything else is insured. And then you negotiate the lien down after closing to get your free and clear title. And that was genius. And that I heard this past week from one of our speakers. And I never heard anything about that, but that was really intriguing to me. That's something that I learned from the event as far as buying properties with their distress and liens on the property. And then you essentially still get insured title, but you put the lien in an uninsured part of the title, and then you fix the lien problem. So that was pretty cool. So that's something I learned from my own event that I hosted this past weekend.
Yeah, that's what I think is cool about coming to events is that you can absorb a lot of information quickly, and like it just goes to show you, like no matter what level you're at, there's always going to be something else for you to learn. We learn things all the time from other friends, mentors, students, everybody. But this is a good game to get really, really good at, and you're never done learning. Right. So if you're on this call and you're brand new and you've never done a deal before, it's a cool place to be in, because even us, 5.5 years later, we still learn things like if we're brand new. So it's a really, really cool business. I guess I like that part of it, is that no matter how good you get, there's always going to be new levels, no matter what.
Yep.
I got one, guys. This is Amy. Hi.
Hey.
Hey. So so much experience and so much skill and expertise in that room. It was kind of a learning experience all day. But one of the things, or one of the, I guess, quotes that stood out to me, and I think it was Chris Rood, said that, when you do things over and over and over again, you get to the point of having unconscious competence in doing something. And that kind of really stood out to me. You know, when the repetitive nature of learning something or doing something, you just become kind of subconsciously able to do it. And I really liked that, and it really stood out to me.
I'll tell you how this pertains to me when I first started. I used to box when I was a kid, right? So like just hitting a speed bag or a double in bag, something that takes a tremendous amount of skill and hand speed. It just takes a really long time to learn. And then you'll develop muscle memory and hand coordination, right? So now you can like hit this punching bag and it's moving so fast you can't even see it. It's just blurry. So really the only good way to detect where that bag is going to be next is by sound, and also just by sheer, like I said, muscle memory. So there's really no way to time it when the bag's coming back, but you just kind of know where to touch, and you know which muscles it takes to fire to touch that bag. And I've hit those strides in business before where it just seems like this is too easy. Like it's all coming too natural to me. Like, and that's what it points to, that unconscious competence, where you feel like this is just, it's so easy. In fact, it's almost like you're not working at all. So the most recent example that I've seen is being on sales calls, right? Because for a long time for our company and our partners and our students, I was always the closer. So I would come in and I would try to close these big deals, and it would be, you know, me primarily taking the bulk of those calls. And I think we moved beyond that now with some of our other partners and students like Kyle and those guys. But it would be Daniel that would point it out to me, to be like, man, when you said this and when you said that. And in my mind, like I said, it's just, I've been doing it for such a long time, at such a high level, that I don't even have to think about it anymore, right? But it's just from getting on just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of conversations where you're able to close and you're able to make these you know, different moves and different little tricks that you could do without even thinking about it. But having Daniel on the phone with me for those calls where he would mention it, like, hey, I like when you did this, and when you said this, that was cold and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, damn, you know, you're right. Like that is very high level stuff, but now we're kind of doing it on autopilot. There's nothing that I could do to take you from where you might be today to that. But I can tell you that it is coming. And when it does come, it's like, man, you're just like in a zone again, where you don't have to really like access the information. And what did Daniel say when he showed us that chart? Like none of that comes up anymore. It's just automatically happening. And that's when things get really fun and really easy in real estate, when it's not challenging anymore. Unless you come up with something new that you've never seen before, like Daniel just recently said.
Bill, you got something to share from the event?
Yeah, hell yeah, of course. But same thing. I was gonna piggyback off of Amy, like just like how Chris Root says. Like I said, he still takes his busy calls from real estate, all of them. He said 206,000 calls when him and his wife tracked it. It's like 2012 or something. So just like Arnold Schwarzenegger says, reps and sets. Just like anything you do, health, wealth, whatever you're trying to do, just takes that consistency, and you just got to bang it out each one at a time.
There was something else that Henry said too. So Henry said that he accidentally found buying houses with vacant lots was a big win, because he didn't have to pay for the vacant lots, so he was getting free land. So I thought it was funny that he was picking up free land with houses just because he bought it with the house. And we tell you guys that to do the opposite: buy land that comes with the house. So I thought it was funny. I asked him later if he learned that from us, but he said he learned an accident just by doing the transaction, by doing more transactions, that it just came across and he recognized the pattern.
Yeah, I would tell you guys finding like what Henry was talking about, like that. We call it subdivided arbitrage, right? So if you took a 5-acre piece of land and you cut it up into like 2 or 3 lots, one's 1.5 acre, 1 acre, 2 acres, you know, stuff like that. That makes that 5-acre lot where you could buy it for $50,000, and now it's worth $250,000, right? Just by us splitting it up that way. So when you when you guys are looking through these listings, make sure you read the descriptions, right? Because like Henry figured out, hey, I found a house with 1 acre connected to 2 more acres. So the listing might say home on 3 acres and it's $300,000. And we look at it and we're like, well, this ain't a deal. Well, come to find out, the house on 1 acre by itself might be worth $225 or $250, right? And that 2-acre lot might be worth $100 or $150. So it's always worth, when you're looking at stuff, to just read the description and see how many pieces it's into. Because if you can find either visually through the pictures or through the description that it's in multiple tracks, I mean, those could be really, really big deals on just a couple of acres. So it's something to keep your eyes open for. And I think the only way to really identify that stuff is by seeing it over and over and over again. So if you're on this call right now and you don't know what to do, just start making a lot of offers, looking at a lot of deals, taking a lot of notes, having lots of conversations. So let's say before you hit that unconscious competence where you're starting to just get deals often, frequently, let's say it's going to take you 3 years. right? But what's going to happen inside of that 3 years? Maybe you're going to have 500 conversations with agents, sellers, other investors inside of that 3 years. And that's when you get really good because you've had 500 conversations. So the only way that I can tell you to shorten your learning curve and to condense time is to start having those conversations today, right? If 500 is that number, what if you had 500 conversations in the next 6 months? How much more would you advance, right, in 6 months instead of waiting 3 years to have those same number of conversations? And it's all based on you, right? And I hate when somebody gets on a call like this and they say, well, it's just mindset. It's just, no, it's not. It's never going to be just that, right? It's everything else that you're doing. It's your diet, it's your nutrition, it's how early you're going to bed, the music you're listening to, the TV shows you're watching. How much energy do you give up when you're watching like a show about drama or a scary movie? Right. Well, after 2 hours, your nervous system is shot. Your adrenaline's going off. Cortisol levels are through the roof. Like, why would you watch something to induce that amount of physical stress when you could have used that, you know, to watch some YouTube videos or anything else other than putting yourself through that abuse, subjecting yourself to that amount of stress hormone for nothing, with no gain, no return at all. So me, myself, I don't watch scary movies anymore. I don't watch action movies anymore. Right. Not everybody's as extreme as me, but I'm that careful with my energy. I'm not going to spend, you know, all that cortisol and adrenaline on a 2.5 hour scary movie when I can use that adrenaline to make 5 or 10 phone calls and try to get a deal. And a brand new person can get a deal immediately. We have students that are going to make over $1 million on their first deal, 80,000 on their first assignment fee, 100,000 on your first assignment fee. So if your mind is telling you right now that I'm too new to make any serious money in this business, I want you to find a way to trick yourself to stop thinking that, for one, and for two, like I said, just start making those phone calls. Start making those tomorrow. You'll make more progress in this group by, one, like Daniel said, showing up to the calls, but also get yourself a paper calendar. Go to Amazon right now. Get you a paper desktop calendar, a big one. They're only like $5 or something, or $10. And I want you to write down on every day of the week, I want you to write down how many conversations you had with either a seller or an agent. Just those two things. That's it. And if you only did that, you'll make more progress than somebody in this group who didn't do that. Because you'll see after 14 days, I've had 12 conversations. After 30 days, I've had 22 conversations. You know you're making real progress if you have conversations happening daily. But if it's been 30 days and you've been on 4 of these calls, you've made 0 calls to agents and sellers, you're just kidding yourself. You're making excuses, and you're telling yourself you're working because you watched enough YouTube videos and you read enough books and you talk to enough people in this room. But if you don't have if you don't have how many conversations you've had with sellers and agents every single day, you're not going to make any progress at all, because you're not doing what it takes to make money. Because you could be on this call for another 6 months or another year and still have not called one agent yet, because you have that fear of not knowing what to do. And the only way to cancel that fear, to get rid of it, is just to make the phone calls. And then it goes away like if it was never there. But until you do it, it ain't going to happen.
Somebody's asking how many calls they should make. In my opinion, as many as possible. Who here wants to build strong muscles? What does it take to get strong muscles? Yes, repetition. So how fast do you want to go? Do you want to go really slow? We'll make 1 call a day, and you might get there in a year. Or you can make 20 hours a week of cold calling and see what the results you get. We had one of our students last year, he cold called 20 hours a week for a month. Agents, sellers. That's all he did. Agents, sellers, agents, sellers, agents, sellers. He locked up a $2 million deal in 45 days. So the answer is, how many calls can't you make? I don't know. That question's on you.
How many are you going to make? I think you have to get yourself mentally tough and physically tough, right? Because you make those phone calls and you get told lots of no's, confusing situations because you're kind of new. You have to, if your body's strong, your mind's usually strong, right? And they're both with each other. So even if it's just walking around the block, walking up and down stairs, do push-ups, anything that's strenuous activity is going to help you in your business, because it's going to make you more mentally tough. So if you don't have the nerve to pick up that phone call, like I said, whether it's weights, sprints, coffee, something, Red Bull, whiskey, something to make you want to make phone calls, at least to like chemically trick yourself to pick that phone up until it gets easy. And then after that, it's just volume, just number of calls. So if you haven't made a bunch of calls yet, mark it down. Mark 100, and I want you to visually see it. I want you to make a mark on the sheet, on the calendar. I want you to be able to mark them off every time you make a phone call. Make your first target 100 phone calls. Say, I want to have 100 conversations. I'm going to give myself 30 days to do it, and it's only 3 phone calls a day. 3 phone calls a day for a month, and you'll hit 100 conversations. And at the end of those 100 phone calls, you'll be 10 times better than you are right this second. But you have to convince yourself to make those 10 calls first.
Alan says, my mentor taught me something. Do something hard every day and life gets easy.
Yep. That's right there, guys. It's something difficult, something that causes you pain. Mine is exercise. All right, so I'll go to CrossFit. I'll go ride 10 or 20 miles on my bike, and it's physical pain. Like, I feel like my heart might explode. My knees are hurting. My back's hurting. I'm getting dehydrated. Like, I'm physically suffering. And then I'm only 30 minutes into my workout. I got another 30 minutes to go. So then when one of my peers calls me, somebody called, hey, can you talk to the seller real quick? It's being an a-hole, but I think we got a deal. Ma'am, give me that phone. I don't think there's anybody on this call right now that's had me make a call for them where I gotta hesitate or hype myself up to get on the phone. Like, I'm just ready to go now. It's like nothing. Same thing with content, right? The first time I had to aim my own phone, my camera at myself, I felt like a dumbass. I didn't want to do it. It took a lot of nerve for me to just be able to get on there and do it. And now Daniel hands us the microphones, we clip them off, and we start recording immediately. There's no warm up. Like, oh, let me take a shot of coffee. Like, let me do some jumping jacks. Nothing. Give me the microphone, flip it onto my shirt. Boom, we start talking immediately. So until you have that level of unconscious competence where you can just jump on the phone call and just make it to where it's just completely fluid, like nothing, it's just going to take a lot of reps, no matter what. But just getting yourself to that stage, then everything else is easy. Like I said, now it's just counting the numbers down. Okay, I had 99 conversations. You're just 99, 100, 101, 102. Before you know it, you've had 300 conversations in 6 months, and you got 4 contracts, right? But if you haven't had those 300 conversations, man, I haven't had a deal lately. I wonder what's going on. You can always look back at that paper calendar, and you can see for the last 45 days, you've made 6 phone calls to agents. And then at least it takes the mystery away. So you can't say, like, I wonder why I haven't gotten any deals. It's on the paper. But again, if you don't physically write it down so you can see it every single day, you say, damn, it's already been 4 days this week, and I've made 2 phone calls. Well, guess what? Friday, I'm going to make 60 phone calls. I'm not going to get off my desk until I hit the number 60 on Friday. And bam, now you're making calls for 8 hours, you get a contract. I don't know how many calls Kyle made when he first started, but it seems like he was setting us 5 or 10 leads a day. And now it seems like Kyle can get a contract a day. So I don't know where he's at or how much outreach he's doing, but I think he can get 1 to 2 to 3 contracts a week now. And it's just volume.
And then you become more precise too. So in the beginning, you cold call just to get the reps. And then as you get better, you get a higher conversion. And you can be a sniper with your cold calls.
Yep. And then you get to the point to where you're turning sellers down, where the seller's ready to go. They say they're ready to rock and roll. They're ready to sign the contract. And like, you know what? We looked at this deal again. We're not going to do it. Right now the shoe's on the other foot because you put in enough reps to where you can identify a deal. It looks like you could possibly make some money here, but it's not enough. They're looking at it like, I don't want to put 6 months into this deal or a year into this deal to make 100,000. I don't want to invest that kind of time into this deal. So we just renegotiate our offer and we walk away. Tell the seller, you know what? We thought about it. We're out. Or you're shooting the seller down. We had an investor, a lender that wanted to lend us 500,000. We told them no after 2 interviews. We just didn't feel comfortable with the money. So it's your job as a business person, as a real estate investor, to generate so much business that you can turn some away. And when you get to that point, you're having passive contracts. Everything's going your way. Things are going super easy. To get a deal is very, very easy because you've seen it a bunch of times. Everything gets really, really simple when you have so much opportunity that you have to shut stuff down. That's when it gets really crazy. But again, it's just a massive, massive workload until you get there.
All right, we're over time. I'm going to try and have the lease presentation next week. So I'm excited about that. And I do want to do it because I do want to educate on it. But it's a fun topic for me. But I hope you all learned something. I'll find that video and I'll post it in the group. But I hope you all enjoy your week. Just spend time with your family. And we'll see you all next Tuesday.
All right, guys. You have a blessed night, man. See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Take
you.
care.